And thank you for joining us at TIA's Connectivity Jam. We're here with Michelle Shaughnessy. She's Vice President of Product Management and Services at Motorola Solutions. And Michelle, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So we're going to be talking about FirstNet today, and just for the few people out there that are watching that don't know what FirstNet is, we need to very quickly tell us about that, but then we'll get into a number of other factors that surround really signing on to FirstNet. So what is FirstNet?
So basically what FirstNet is it's a nationwide broadband network for public safety and the public safety community that will allow them to have a dedicated data type of network over broadband. So high speed, high capacity broadband so that they can conduct applications, mission critical applications like video sharing on a network that is made for first responders. And that's really what FirstNet's all about. It was created through government legislation with dedicated spectrum that will be done.
Now, so I have a statewide network that really functions pretty well and has over the last number of years. Why would I invest my money in a national national public safety network?
Well, there's a couple types of networks that exist today, Abe. So the first one is really the Land Mobile Radio Network, which in the United States, the standard is really Project 25. That was created as an open standard to have open competition and interoperability between networks. So that has really been the gold standard in voice networks over the last 15, 20 years. And what has happened now with the advent of private broadband is that a secondary network has been created for data. As data continues to emerge in the marketplace as critical in what we do and how we respond to incidents that happen, be it an emergency incident or a non-emergency incident where you have public works involved, data is emerging. So what this network really does is it allows this public safety and the extended public safety community, like public works, to have a data network that they can use that will give them priority traffic for their applications when something bad happens. We all know that when things happen and you're at a sporting event and you can't get a text message through, for instance, because everybody at the stadium is texting their friends. One of the things that this network will do is it will allow those people that need the network to get access for data.
So what kind of time parameter do I have as a state to sign on to the national network? And should I expect a CapEx cost, an OpEx cost, or both?
So it depends on what you do as a state. Every state has the ability to opt into the FirstNet plan or opt out. There's a very defined plan within the RFP on what states can do. And essentially, states have a process where they can go through and say, I want to examine opting out of the network. And what opting out would mean is that they would then purchase their own RAN, so their own base stations in their state to do coverage, which would be a CapEx expense for them. And then they would have to connect into that FirstNet core network to be able to operate. So if you decided to opt out, and like I said, there's a process, it's about a 120-day process of which they file, and there's a whole series of things that the government does to review their opt-out and then can accept it or deny it. So that is one path that the states can go down. The other path is, of course, opting in, which is what the preferred methodology really is that then it becomes a single nationwide network of which states would just then have an OpEx expense, much like your cellular bill today, where they would have a monthly data plan and a bill that they would pay based on that.
Of course, there's a recent partnership between AT&T and FirstNet that was announced actually not long ago, about a couple months back.
Yep.
How does the rest of the vendor community play a role in FirstNet? Is it through AT&T, or is it with AT&T, or is it directly with FirstNet?
So AT&T is going to build the network. So they were awarded the business to build out the network. And what building out the network means in this case is they're going to take their existing coverage footprint that they have, and they're going to add what's called the Band Class 14, which is the dedicated private public safety spectrum into their networks. So what AT&T is going to do is they're going to build out the network. And one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to create an application store, almost like a Google Play Store for the public safety community. So that is one way that vendors are going to be able to participate. Apps providers will be able to put an app in the store and the users will be able to download that app. There will also be ways that you can purchase devices, be those purpose-built devices or commercial devices that have band 14 in them as well. And those might be purchased directly through maybe dealers, AT&T dealers, AT&T shops could potentially have those as well. So there's multiple ways that really you're going to do this, almost like you do today with the device you have today. You download apps from the App Store, you go buy a new phone, and so forth and so on. So that's the way it's really going to work, is it's going to be a combination of both.
Michelle, I think with any new endeavor, there's misconceptions. What's the biggest misconception about FirstNet, would you say?
I think the biggest misconception, and it's really a global discussion, is about, does FirstNet replace the land mobile radio business, or does it complement the land mobile radio business? And there's a lot of discussion that goes on with regards to this. And really, Andy Siebel, a consultant in the industry, has kind of said it best. And he said, the technology won't determine how the conversion and complements happen, it'll be the end users. Like anything else, technology can do some things, but policy and people do the rest of it. And today, land mobile has been designed for kind of the worst case scenario, the worst scenario that happens so that communication always gets through. The broadband network hasn't been quite designed the same way because commercial operators really look at it from the perspective of profit. So those two things have to come together to create the data everywhere that we need, and also then the seamless connectivity across the two networks. And what I mean by that is really, it's about, you have a land mobile network and you have a broadband network, and you want to be able to see what resources in your command and control center, regardless of the network. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to see a map and see all your assets? I don't care if they're a police officer carrying a P25 radio, or if they're a fire battalion chief that is only carrying a broadband radio, a handheld. You could see them all on the map, and you could see what resources they have and what they can use. So it's really, that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Of course, Motorola's been in the public safety business for decades. If you had to give one piece of advice to the rest of the vendor community about moving forward in the public safety space, what would that be?
It's about spending time to know your customers and know how they operate and what they do, because it's not the same as the commercial space where you and I have an application and we kind of go, it starts and it resets. These people that work in these high pressure environments and in an extreme environment really need to know that it's intuitive what they can do and how fast they can do it, and that it always works. So although the community is really looking forward to being able to ride commercial cost curves, there's also demands that the first responder and public safety community put on their vendors when it comes to reliability, coverage, things like battery life on devices that are really critical to how they do business, and they're not the standard things that you and I are used to every day in the commercial space.
Jill, sounds like you have your work cut out for you, so thanks for being on our program.
Thank you very much, Abe.